The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Well, my girl's got the sweetest pussy.
Hey, welcome to SinCityBounty.com. We are broadcasting live from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, from our studios here at WWDBTV.com. And we haven't been here in 2 weeks, so it's a catch-up show.
Catch-up show. Followed quickly by mustard and mayo.
Or there used to be a show on one of the old stations, and they would call it Heinz.
Except that in light of recent KKK events, anything that sounds even slightly German's a little off-putting to me right now.
True.
Speaking of slightly German,
well, I'm like,
hold on.
Yes, I got it.
You got friend requested too? I have to unfollow Der Hogus because it's just a litany, like a constant running rant of just his bullshit. I love you to death, man, but nobody gives a fuck about your car.
He
I
did.
thought you were about to say
so we have
he's got a nice car.
Oh my God.
We have a mutual friend who claims himself as a fascist. But we know that he's
Francois the fascist, by the way.
He's full of crap most of the time. He's a super nice guy in person, total troll on the internet.
Total.
But we got friend requested today after like a year and a half hiatus.
It's been at least 2 years for me.
And it's nothing but complaining. Just nothing but constant complaining.
Non-stop complaining.
It was hilarious.
He needs to get him some vagina. Actually, what he really needs is a big dick in his butt, and that'll shut him the fuck up. You take it in the pooper, Der Hogus, and everything's better.
That's what she said.
We love you, Hogus.
We do. We
Even
do
if
love
you. Are
you.
a total
Have to get together for
douche
drinks. You'll have to meet Der Hogus. He'll really like you. The blonde hair. Is that a dude?
That is a dude.
That
It
is a dude. It's a dude with a
Totally
name
a
that
dude.
could be a prophylactic.
Good. It's also...
Who's calling you at this time? Don't they know you?
I expect my mom to call in a minute now. She always does.
All my motherfuckers, y'all ain't calling me. Nobody calls me anyway. So it's a catch-up show.
Let's do your story first.
The one from today.
Yeah.
All right. So,
School has started.
school has started. I now have a high schooler. So that's been fun. And school has started, and it's really great. They're really well connected online. My daughter has one physical book. Everything else is done online. But she had to sign up for this Google Classroom. And so they sent an email for the parents to be able to sign in and access it. And I did. I clicked on the email and I accepted, and I get a frantic text today from my daughter saying, "You're listed in Google. You're listed in Google Classroom as Toxie O'Shea." It says my mom is Toxie O'Shea. What did you do? What did you do? And she's at school panicking.
Were you
and
able to change
apparently
it?
I had to email the teacher.
Oh!
So it's really bad.
This is my butt sex account.
Well, I said I have an account. It must have my Gmail must have been up, and it must have just connected, and that was it. But I have an account that I just said I happen to have an account that I do not want associated with my daughter's schooling. And then I had to message these guys, and I'm like,
Parenting fail of the year.
Parenting fail, and then hashtag my mom talks about butts on TV or on the radio.
Oh, that's some good shit. Thank God I haven't done that yet.
Oh yeah, I think that was my first. It is my first kind of mess up with it.
One of these days we're gonna walk into our school and some dad's gonna recognize us and be like, and he's gonna have jerk off face, and we're gonna know our photos are in a spank bank and everything. We're gonna be like,
the deal is, if the dad recognizes and if the dad says something. I had a guy at soccer once come up to me, and he's just like, he's looking at me, he's like, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? And I'm going, did I talk to him on a dating site at one point and I don't remember?
have I sucked your dick recently?
Have we been intimate? Or do you know me from the show? Like, are you just being really friendly and creepy about it?
That is one of the drawbacks. That is one of the drawbacks of having pseudonyms. For those of you who don't know, we all have pseudonyms on this show.
Some of us also have multiple pseudonyms for the other shit that we do. And it gets really fucking confusing sometimes.
It can.
Somebody will come up to me and be like, oh my God, I love your work. And it's like, oh, which one?
But that must have been totally horrifying to get that call for your daughter.
Number one, she never knew. She knew the name Toxie, and only because people slip in front of her and will call me Toxie. And I'm like, hey. So she knows that, but now she knows the not that she couldn't have found it anyway online, but now she knows it all.
Are you afraid she's going to Google it?
No, she has specific instructions that this is when she's old enough, she can watch it all she wants and find out that her mom happens to like sex.
Gee, I never would have guessed. By the way, Toxie takes it in the pooper.
I do. But actually, I've always said, one day you'll watch it, and then you'll just realize that it's okay for a woman to be empowered, to empower herself and allow herself to be sexual and kind of own up to her own sexuality and, to be plus size and confident. So, if she watches it, that's it.
I've been a little less filtered around my kid, and so sometimes when we start talking about the show, he'll be like, is that the show you talk about sex? Yes, it is. Among other things, but yes, we do talk about sex.
Well, I don't hide anything, so everybody knows. My mom, she knows, she doesn't care. My sister knows, doesn't care. My nephew has promised to tune in.
Oy.
And I believe he has watched a lot of the episodes lately. So I told him, I said, hey, I'm not going to hold back.
When we know you're tuning in, we are totally going to ask you about masturbating.
And if you call... Just like we've done before, if you call or you want to come into the studio or something like that, we will put you on the spot, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just like when Shaun of the Dead was in here and he said, oh, my mom, I told my mom to tune in. And now he's like, hey, my mom's on. And I'm like, hey, so how about that masturbating? Like,
how does that work with the Angry Inch? I don't know. He's probably got a big dick. I have no idea. I'd ask his dad, but that's a little weird.
Like father, like son.
Anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hon.
I think we're talking about buns, though. I think we're...
No, anaconda.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. That takes a minute. I didn't get that part.
So pretty.
Oh, I think Johnny Fever just turned a new shade of red I've never seen before.
That's my blood pressure.
It's because he doesn't have a heart on, so he still has blood left in his body. So Toxie and I went out this weekend, and it was simultaneously one of the funnest nights and one of the most disappointing evenings of my life. So
you guys went to a birthday party.
We did. We went to Tyra Scott's birthday party when she was on 2 weeks ago. She talked about it. We went because we love Tyra and we love trans girls and trans boys and trans everybody's. And so we went, and I mean, the problem with going to a bar that is populated by many, many trans people is that, quite honestly, you cannot tell the difference between a trans girl and a cis girl. Sometimes you can tell, but most of the time you cannot tell.
Yeah.
And the other problem with going to a trans bar is if you are used to getting hit on at least once by the ugly, creepy guy in the corner, You're not even going to get looked at if you're a cis girl, and it's obvious you're a cis girl. And these are obviously cisgendered titties. I had some guy, very good-looking cowboy guy, which y'all know is kind of right up my alley. He's like, hey, would you guys watch my table for me while I go to the restroom? And I'm like, sure.
Do you have any really type of guy that's not up your alley? Because you kind of like them.
Actually, the ridiculously muscled dudes totally creep me out.
Okay.
Like, I can't do that.
So that's like the only
Yeah.
no-go.
How about little Italian guys from Philadelphia?
She likes those.
Dated a couple of those.
She likes them swarthy, like that whole
I do.
Middle Eastern, Mediterranean.
I love that Middle Eastern thing. So fucking
She
hot.
likes them all.
I do. I have fucked the rainbow, you guys. I'm just saying. Except, and this is the one thing I regret, is I've never actually had sex with a 100% black dude. It's only been with a halvesies.
Halvesies.
Yeah. So we go to this.
I don't believe that's the term.
So we go to this trans bar, and I watch the table for this hot-looking cowboy dude, and he comes back. He's like, "Thanks, man." I'm like, "Dude," and then I spend all night doing the coy over the shoulder. Hi. Nothing.
He thought you were a dude?
No.
He wasn't there for us.
He was there with one of the performers. So
Okay.
every dude there was there for the trans girls.
Got it.
They wanted nothing to do with the 3 cisgendered chicks sitting in the back. Nothing. Like, it took us forever to get drinks. It took us forever to get anything.
Here's the thing. I can normally, in different types of bars too. I know, like, because I act all like, naturally nice. I'm like, hey, please excuse me. Like, hey. I can normally just kind of work my way in and get up and get drinks.
Nope.
And I stood there forever, and you guys were even going, you still didn't get up there? And I'm like, no.
She's standing
They're
like
not
3
helping
people
me.
back, and she's like, excuse me. I don't have a dick, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, not like, I'm not disparaging them, obviously. I love trans people, but it was really disheartening to not get any attention at a bar. I mean, not that I'm looking to find anyone. Obviously, I have someone. Not that I'm looking for anything, but it's really nice to get hit on. It's really nice to have some deferential treatment sometimes,
It's really nice to get a drink.
It's really nice to get a real drink, too, because I watched all the trans girls with big-ass cups, and we get these teeny tiny little shot glasses.
I ordered a Jaeger bomb, and I ask for it always.
Sorry, it was like in a double glass.
And usually bartenders are like, oh, hee. I say I want it on ice in a glass with a straw so I look like a lady. And bartenders usually chuckle, and, I get a nice glass, and I get a heavy dose of Jaeger in there. Do you need a tap?
No.
I get a heavy dose of Jaeger, and it's great. And this one I get a cup that's like mouthwash size, like a little bigger than a shot glass. And how you can't even taste the Jaeger in that is beyond me.
Oh, I could smell that disgusting. She smelled like vomit from across the table. I was
couldn't
sniffing. I'm like, this is not my Jack Daniels and Diet Coke. That's gross.
The straw was a regular straw up here, and the glass was bad. It was bad.
It was super bad.
And then 2 drinks was like $15, which, I mean, I guess is okay for a Las Vegas bar, but not when your drink is that and most of it's ice. It was crazy.
It was super crazy. So I love you, Whitley. No, I love you, Tyra, and I love trans girls, and I really like trans guys. I really like trans girls too. I like them all, but I'm never going back to that bar.
I've been there a few times.
Yeah?
I mean, I've been there a few times before.
Is it like that all the time? Was it just this evening?
Yeah, no. It's
like that all the time.
Yeah.
So we have decided collectively if this one ever wants to, because she texts me, she's like, let's go out tonight. I'm like, all right, we'll go. Next time she does that, we're going to the studios, because at least there we know we're going to get hit on, even if it's by the ugly, creepy dude in the corner.
Or several of the ugly, creepy dudes.
Sometimes they're just creepy. They're not ugly, but they come up to you like mouth breathing and jacking off like, hi, and it's like, you're cute and all, but you might want to present without your penis in your hand.
But I'll continue to watch you there in the corner.
Just sit over there. I'll watch
remember
you
that.
here.
If you don't mind just going over there.
Yeah. That's not going to be my opening line anymore.
No, please don't.
If you don't mind letting me get out of the splash zone, and then once we're good, I will watch all night long.
Oh my God. I got home that night and I was like, I didn't get hit on once. I went to bed like that. I was sad. I went to bed sad.
At least you should touch each other's asses when you say goodnight to each other. That way you get something out of it, right?
Well, I
Nice
think we were with Jezebel Jolie, so I think we molested each other many times.
Well, that's good. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't satisfying
it
enough.
wasn't satisfying. There was no like coy smiles and, you know, little flirty talks and like, hey, but like, and then letting him down. He's be like, oh, I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend.
I think my favorite part of being hit on by the creepy dude is going to my girlfriend and going, dude, I just got hit on by the creepy dude. That's one of my favorite parts.
I think my favorite part of getting hit on by the creepy dude is going, we're together. Which is what we do with the rooster.
We used
many
to
times
pull that out so many times. Like there was this one guy who was just like insistent, like hitting on her. And she's like, well, I'm with her. And I was like, yeah, she's with me. And then he just kept going at it. And then I went all full bitch on him like, listen, motherfucker, you better lay off my woman. And then he left us alone.
Or when they come, my favorite is, in addition to that, don't come at me at the very end of the night. Like that's the one, because then I do. I'm like, I'm not the 3:30 girl.
Do you remember the guy who sat down at our table, started with you, got shot down, flirted with you, got shot down, started talking to me? I was like, dude, my boyfriend's sitting like right here. And I'm not going to be your third choice, motherfucker. Shit, son.
Second choice is just as bad.
But I mean, it's not like he even tried to be slick about it. Nope. Like, as soon as she was like, nope, he was like, hey, girl. I'm like, dude. Fucking skeezer. Anyway.
It wasn't even like, I'm going to kind of walk away and slide back.
Yeah. Not even like hit on you at a different table. It would be like, just literally just turn like 45 degrees. Hi. I don't know. So Alexia and I went on a road trip. That's why we did not have the show last week, because we didn't get back till almost 8 o'clock at night.
It was an awesome trip, I have to say. We went to go see the eclipse up as close as we could in Wyoming.
It was so fucking beautiful up there. Y'all almost lost us. I'm saying we may not have, if we didn't have to come back for jobs and other responsibilities. I mean, I had my kid with me. If I'd have had my dog, I don't think I would have come back. I think I'd have put you on a bus and sent you home, because it was beautiful up there.
The very next day, I was Googling the town
I was
I
on
want to move
Zillow
to.
too.
Yeah.
I was like, and then I'm over on Indeed. Can I get a job up there, making what I'm making, and make the rent for the house? Like, yeah, I was trying to work it. It ain't happening though.
But we had a great trip. We stayed at this is a term that I've heard in passing, but now it will be on the forefront of every time somebody says vacation plans. I'm going to say, are you staying at a KOA? Because we stayed at a KOA super site, and it was amazing.
Okay, so this is a completely unpaid for advertisement for Campgrounds of America, also known as KOA. I know that they're like the laughing stock of like whatever the fucks, and like people like hardcore campers are like, that's not camping, and you know, like people who vacation are like, that's not vacationing, and it's like this perfect little middle ground, and it's got something for every price range. So we stayed in a utility tent site because we were sleeping in my van, because I got a big ass van, and my kid was sleeping in his little pop-up tent, and that was all we needed, was just access to electricity for her anti-death machine and the coffee pot. Yeah. And because we only used the running water like twice, I think, to wash dishes. That was it, because we brought all our own drinks. And I love KOAs because if you're just going to be in that area, it's perfect because you can leave all your shit there, because it's a completely secured site. Then you can come back and none of your shit's gone unless some asshole camper took it, and then there's cameras everywhere, so you're all right.
It was awesome.
But there's so many activities to do with the kids.
Well, the kids we hung out at the campsite. We cooked over fire. They had a little fire pit for us. It was great. Mm-hmm. We roasted marshmallows. She made what was it? First night you made burgers.
I made burgers.
The second night she made roasted chicken with rice. It was awesome. And broccoli and steamed broccoli. It was awesome. And it was like a base camp next to Bear Lake, which was phenomenally beautiful. I like Lake Mead. I love going out there. I love going to like Willow Beach and all the little places. But there is nothing like seeing a lake where you can't see the other side.
Yeah, Bear Lake is like that in a lot of places.
It was gorgeous. And we came over this rise and boom, there it was. Never tire of that.
No. And so the trip up to Bear Lake, you have to go through this little town called Logan, and right after Logan is the Logan River Valley, and that's the road you take to get to Bear Lake. And when you think of idyllic mountain road, this is the road you are thinking about. There's like tree tunnels you drive through. There's a river, real honest to God water in a riverbank rushing next to you. And not just like gurgling, it's like
I've been thinking about this as I've been
wonderful.
telling people these stories this whole week that we've been back. It's because we live in the desert, okay?
Yeah, it is.
I know that some of you guys around the country live in idyllic spots already. Some of you live in between rivers and all that. Whatever. We live in the desert.
Like the closest I ever get to a river is when the street in front of my house floods.
Right.
Once a year.
So we get there, we set up camp. The next day, we drive up to the Wyoming area, and we park on the side of the road with a ton of other people, and we watch the eclipse. It's a 2-hour adventure of the eclipse. We've got chairs, we've got our glasses, which is a whole nother story. It was completely worth. We didn't even have any headaches on the way up or back. But all of the being away from home, being away from the animals, being away from, responsibilities or whatever, it was
the really
so
uncomfortable
worth it.
sleeping.
Oh, yeah. The sleeping was bad. I do have to admit that.
The sleeping was bad.
But we heard while we were sitting there watching that it was raining and cloudy here in Vegas. And we only got like the last half hour of the eclipse, which was when it was leaving. And we felt so bad for you guys, but not that bad because
I warned all y'alls. I've been warning y'alls for a year. I've had like a 6-month countdown going. I had a 3-month countdown going. And then everybody, like the week before, why are you going all the way up to Utah and Wyoming for the eclipse? What eclipse? What are you, living under a rock? Jesus. So no, I don't feel bad for any of you people. Amazon, though, I'm real mad at you, Amazon. I ordered all my viewing glasses online and a pair of $30 binoculars so that we could like get all fancy with watching the thing and maybe trying to maneuver them on the phone and take pictures and shit. Thursday, 2 days before we are supposed to leave, I get a notification that my shipment date has changed on the things that I've ordered to mid-September. So we spent the entire trip, every time we stopped, looking for viewing glasses. And everyone was sold out except for literally the last guy before where we stopped to watch our eclipse. And he had some that were like from Idaho or some shit.
And this shit, it was 20 minutes before the eclipse was about to start.
So I bought 8 of those motherfuckers. Put a sign on the back of my car. Solar viewing glasses, $10. That's not what I paid for them. Didn't sell any, but that's okay because there's another eclipse in 6 years, and then another one 6 months after that.
It was absolutely surreal. The best part for me was we watched it. It took a little while to get there to totality, but when you were able to take off your glasses and stare at the sun and see the silver ring and the little diamond part of it, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Completely worth any trip you decide to make in the 6 years. And then the other part that was surreal, alien-like surreal, was the dark during the day.
But it wasn't dark. Like, it was dark, but it wasn't dark. So normally your shadow is very faded and there's like multiple parts to it and things like that because the sun comes straight down at you, but you also have all the light reflected off the cars around you and all of the trees and the pavement and the other people. Light reflects off of everything. So your shadow is not a defined outline thing. One of the phenomenon that happens with the sun is that 90% of the solar radiation is blocked, and so the only thing you're getting is pure light from the sun there is no reflection from any other surface. So your shadow turns into an almost gruesome depiction of you as a shadow.
It's your twin.
It's how did my kid put it? It's like Peter Pan. It's so in the kids' cartoon movie Peter Pan, when Peter Pan's shadow, he cuts it off and he shakes it out and it's like a perfect outline. It's exactly what it looks like, and that is so surreal. And then to see, it looks like the sun is setting, but not just in the west, all the way around you. The entire horizon is on fire. Because while you may be in the shadow of the sun, everyone else further out and around you is not. And so there is still daylight over there, and you can see that daylight over there, and it is super weird. The temperature dropped like 10 degrees. It got really quiet, and then all of the like dusk sounds started happening, but almost as soon as all of that started, the sun started to come back out again, and so like it was so surreal is the word for it. Is absolutely the word for it. And I'm looking forward to the next two.
Plan it for next time. We'll all go as a group.
Oh,
Stay at a super site, KOA super site.
Well, and it's the next one will be viewable closest to us in the middle of Utah, so we don't have to drive as far. And then the next one after that will be viewable from where my sister lives in Arkansas, so we're just going to stay at her place.
Yeah. We all camp on her property.
She got room.
So let's skip the part about getting stuck for 2 hours next to another lake.
But that was fun too.
On the way back.
Although,
so
do we have a good story from that?
We do. We do have a great story for that. So we go back, we sleep for the night, and then the next day we're leaving to come back. For lunch, we decide we want to stop for lunch. So we're looking around. I'm looking on my phone, and we find a state park.
Yuba State Park.
Yuba State Park. And it's a lake. It's one of those ugly, salty, marshy kind of lakes, but it's cool. It's got some trees by it, so we decide to go there. And as we drive in, there's a squirrel watching us as we drive in. He's like, oh, people, okay. We get in, we park. Sierra here is like the master camper. She pulls out all of her gear. She's got a tablecloth. She's got meat and cheese and bread and everything else. Condiments, Heinz to go with it. And we also have some fresh berries because everybody said when you're up there in northern Utah, you got to get some fresh berries because that's what they're famous for. So we have some fresh berries.
We made a fucking U-turn for fresh berries. Just saying. And they were good.
This cute little squirrel peeks out from behind a tree, and we're all like super fascinated. It's the only wildlife in the area right now, besides the trees and the flies. And he peeks out, and we start throwing berries, and throwing him closer and closer. Hopefully he'll come closer. We must have taken 1,000 pictures of this motherfucking squirrel.
I got like 25 pictures on my phone.
Videos, pictures, and everything. Cutest little thing. Totally vogued for us. Total squirrel poses.
Sitting up on his haunches with something in his hands.
Yep.
Like he was totally Vogue squirrel.
And so
he was a fat little
we
fucker.
feed him a lot. He ate tons of berries, and then Sierra and her boy were going to go check out the lake. And I'm not walking that far. It's like a half a mile,
It was a half
right?
mile from where the
I said, fuck that.
picnic
I'll
site
hang
was.
around. I'll hang around the van.
I want to stay with you.
So when we first pulled up, of course, she has the side door open and everything. We pull everything out. And she leaves. She takes the keys. And I'm standing there by the van, doing my thing. And the squirrel, this motherfucking squirrel, starts heading towards the van. And I think it's adorable. Oh my God, it's so close to the van. No, this starts to head into the van. I chase that motherfucker away. And I'm like, okay, he's gone. No, motherfucker comes back. He wants inside the van. So I said, no. Tons of flies. I'm like, oh, I don't want to close these doors because of all the flies, but I need to. So I close the door, but there's still one window open, and that's the driver's side window. So everything is closed up on the van except the driver's side window. The squirrel goes under the van. I'm like, motherfucker, he's going to find a way in. So I go a ways away. So you know how you go far away, you can see underneath the car? And I watch this squirrel go to every wheel well, climb up in it, and look for an opening to get into the van. Because that's what this squirrel does. It lures you in with its cutesiness. And then when you leave to go down and check out the lake, it ransacks your motherfucking car. That's what it does. That's the job of this squirrel.
We would have all died had that squirrel come home with us, because he'd have been like asleep in the back, and then he would have woke up and freaked out and latched on, because that's how my luck is. He'd have latched onto my head. I'd have driven us off the road. We'd have all died in a fiery automobile accident. Headline would have been, "Fat bitches die because of chubby squirrel." Like, that would have been
Would be on the
the
side of the
headline.
road smoking a cigarette. Like,
Yeah.
3 more down.
Yeah. So I'm watching, and this squirrel, he comes around, he's going around, he smells the human smells coming from the open window. And so it gets into the last wheel well, and it's gauging how far it has to jump to get to the mirror to get into the motherfucking car. I can see the gears working in this squirrel's head, and I said, no way!
You know, this is not the first time this little gangsta has done this shit.
I would have so taken this squirrel home, by the way.
Well, we named him Wilfred before we knew he was Willie G, like, because he's such a chubby little fucker, and he was eating berries, and I'm like, you know, anybody coming south from northern Utah is on this road and probably stops here and feeds this
him.
little fucker berries. He's probably got the diabetes, so we named him Wilfred Brimley. And so then he turned into Willie B, because he was all gangsta thug squirrel, all trying to steal shit out of my fucking car, little bastard. The result of this is that the entire next 8 hours home, almost, is that there are now 476 million flies inside my van. So we drive the first 20 miles with all the windows down and the air conditioning on full blast, just trying to blow as many of these little fuckers as we can.
But she has
out.
a van. It's a long van.
It's a big fucking van.
You should have opened the back.
Well, no.
What if you stayed back there and held the stuff in?
If I'd have thought about it, I'd have put my
Bungeed
cargo
around.
net up.
Yeah.
But so I had the vents open in the back, and I had all the windows down, and we blew a large majority of them out, but there was still a ton of them in the van. So literally all the way from, look it up, Yuba State Park in slightly southern Utah, all the way back to Las Vegas, Alexia is in my passenger seat pulling some fucking ninja moves, karate chopping flies out the window.
If they showed up in my purview, I was like, slide, roll down the window, get the motherfucker out!
Dude, the whole time she's like, "Ah-da-da!" Like the sound effects and everything, you guys. I wish I could have taken video of this shit, but I was driving and also keeping flies off my fucking face. I still had flies the next day when I took the van to get it washed.
Meanwhile, this squirrel's probably up in a wheel well dead right now.
I'm telling you.
Like, it's...
You know what?
telling you. And, and that was my
ransack
first
your
thought.
house.
My very first thought was a kind thought. My very first thought was, I need to make sure we tap the van a lot to make sure the squirrel is not under it when we drive off, because I don't want it getting caught up in there like cats do sometimes, right? No. That changed almost immediately.
A little gangsta thug fucker. He's smart. He did not get fat and chubby like he is.
That's right.
Without knowing how not to die in the wheel well of a vehicle. So that's our gangster squirrel story. And then there's that time we almost got killed by a pirate ship in the middle of Wyoming.
So as we're driving, you drive through tons of farmland. I have this running list of animals that we got to see. It includes a llama, which is awesome.
Multiple llamas.
And one of the things that I noticed is that there are tons of weird abandoned things in the middle of fields, in the middle of farmers' fields.
Isn't your dad a farmer? Like, can you explain why farmers leave weird abandoned shit in the middle of their fields?
My dad has a mystery machine van in the middle of one of his fields. I can't explain. I guess it's just a lot of space, and if you don't know what to do with it, but...
You just put like a one weird thing in the middle of your field.
Yeah, it
Or
is.
like a...
Yeah, my dad's is a
string.
mystery machine van.
It, like, honestly, mystery machine?
Serious. I mean, it looks like it. That's what it reminds me of. That's what I thought it was when I was a kid.
I can understand, like, we saw a few pieces of rusted, broken farm equipment, and there's no way to haul it off or whatever, so I can see that, but there's tons of cars. There's always some kind of car in the middle of a field.
Just an RV in the middle of a fucking field, and not like somebody's living in an RV, like windows all blown out on it.
Is it a meth RV? Like, that's what
Walter
all RVs
White of
are to
Northern
me,
Utah?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I think it's idyllic for a coffee table book if you're a photographer and you want to go on this quest
Stealing my ideas,
That would
man.
be. That would be.
Yeah,
to
just
go
a
on
shit in
farms
fields.
and
photograph
random shit.
weird ass shit
Yeah.
in the middle that farmers leave in the middle.
Well,
so I'm talking
and
about
just
this.
so you know, it's not always farmers that leave the shit, because not every. I mean, like, just using my dad's farm, it's huge and it's in different sections, and there's like a main road, but there's still farm down here, there's still farm down the hill, like all of that land belongs to it. And much like you see a mattress drop like in some random area, people also like to leave their shit on farms because you have a fucking farm. Most people don't have security cameras around their farm.
Right.
So they're like, hey, I've got to get rid of this, vehicle I stole. I'm going to drive it onto,
But when the
some
farmer
farm.
goes out to get the stuff out of the fields, and there's suddenly a magic mystery machine
Right.
van sitting in the middle of a field, why don't you call Joe, the neighbor, to come help you pull it out of the field?
Right, but what do you do with it? You have to chop it yourself. You've got to pay someone to haul it or go through the effort of hauling it. If you've got the land, just fucking
So
leave
you
it
just
there.
farm around it?
Just farm
Yeah.
around it.
I mean, that's what we witnessed, was it not?
Yeah, it's
Fucking
exactly what we witnessed.
people just farmed around
And
like
most
old
likely,
churches.
they're not. All that stuff probably didn't belong to the farmer. I mean, it's probably shit that people abandoned there, and then the farmer's like, meh.
So I mentioned this on the way up into Wyoming, and it was then when the weirdest stuff just started showing up, and then she almost killed us.
No, it was the pirate ship. So now we're looking, all of us, me, her, my kid, sort of, we're all looking out the windows at the weird shit, and we're just pointing out the, like, oh my God, that's an old, VW blah, 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 whatever we found in the fields. And then at some point, I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's a motherfucking pirate ship. There was a pirate ship in the middle of this guy's field. Not like, oh, it's a boat. No, a fucking pirate ship. And so I'm like, it's a motherfucking pirate ship. So she looks, she goes, it's a motherfucking pirate ship. My kid in the back's like, whoa, that's a pirate ship. And then I redivert my attention to the road, to the giant oncoming semi that I am now in his way because I have veered into the other lane. And so I start screaming and I swerve back and it's like, ah! I turn back into the lane. She's screaming. The kid's like, what's going on? And that's how we almost got killed by a pirate ship in the middle of Wyoming.
We did, of course, stop on the way back to take a picture of the motherfucking pirate ship.
Too.
So...
And a pirate ship, there's a perfectly reasonable explanation.
For a pirate ship in the
For a
middle of
pirate
a
ship.
field in Wyoming.
Like, your buddy has a pirate ship, and then your buddy's like, I really don't need the pirate ship anymore. It's not selling on Craigslist. Like, I tried eBay, just the pirate ship's not going. Like, hey, Joe Schmo, you've got all this land. Can I just put my pirate ship on your farm? And Joe Schmo's like, meh.
But it's not like it's on the edge of the farm. It's in the middle of the fucking farm.
Yeah,
It's
that's
in the
where
middle
it
of the
goes.
field.
I was thinking maybe, because I know about windbreaks when it comes to farms. Some farms need windbreaks. But they're not even piled in windbreak ways.
Just random assortment things of crap. And then the weirdest part, though, is in the middle of the Hills Have Eyes portions of Utah, where there's like a giant ravine and like 80 dead cars in the bottom of the ravine.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
oh, that's where the serial killers leave the cars. And Utah don't give a shit. So
Vendetta says it's probably an abandoned school float. Aren't those like
No,
made of cardboard?
that would
Yeah.
have. That's long gone. I mean, I'm telling you, it's just some dude who's like, what do I
What
do
if-
with this
what if-
pirate ship?
no, I have figured out what the real reason is. Now, not that I called the fucking farmers. I don't know who the fuck he is, but so we know pirates.
We
And
do.
We're in the middle of the desert, and they have a pirate ship. I'm thinking it's probably something similar, where it's like
It's
a
a
bunch
Ren Fair
of
guild
a
or-
bunch of rural Ren Fair nerds, and like they built a fucking boat, and they probably like set sail on like the Great Sea Bear Lake or whatever once a year, and like everybody else is like, oh, I can't keep it in my little tiny Wyoming town. And so like the one dude who's like got all the shit show jobs, he also happens to own like this little piece of land out on a farm, and they're like, oh, you're just gonna put it on your field, man. And he's just like, fuck yeah. And
Well, now
so
I'm just curious.
Now they probably go in.
Didn't
and
you ever
sit-
see Close Encounters? That's how the
aliens
ship
just
got there.
dropping shit off. I'd believe that too. Although I would have believed that in Hills Have Eyes, Utah, but way up there where it was fucking beautiful in Wyoming, where we were, like that's a little less alien country for me. That's a little more like nerdy rural Ren Fair pirate nerds who built a ship and left it in their buddy's field.
We did 4 states.
Yes.
Arizona, which was gorgeous, but in its own means, the canyon we came through.
Mm-hmm.
And then into Utah, which is gorgeous. and up into Idaho, which is also gorgeous, and then Wyoming itself, which was gorgeous. It was a great trip.
And the day we were in Idaho and Wyoming, because we were right on the border, we passed across the border like 6 times. Because at some point we decided, let's just do a little off-roading, because the van is capable, and it's not like the roads were like off-road roads. They were just like dirt roads.
Where we pulled over to watch the eclipse, we didn't know, but there's a lake at our back.
Yeah, and we found it because we were like, let's drive around here because, we ain't got nothing else to do now. Like, it was over with it by 11 a.m. or like 11:30, and we're like, let's fuck around.
We were
going
to
to
go get lunch. That's what we were going to do.
Yeah.
We were going to go get
So
lunch.
we're driving up this dirt road, and then there's a tiny little sign, "Welcome to Idaho." And then we come back, "Welcome to Wyoming." Crossed the border like 4 times that day. It was great.
I love it. No passports. For now.
But nobody in Idaho is going to ask you for a passport. They're not going to be like, whoa, we want to see who we're letting in here. It's fucking Idaho.
I will have
They're
you
like,
to
do
know.
you like potatoes?
I will have you to know that Utah has ports of entry.
They do.
Well, Utah's different. Not in Utah.
Every time we entered or exited Utah, it was through a port of entry.
I tell you, it's been a while since I've been on I think the last road trip, besides going outside of Nevada, was when Calypso took me to go visit her tiny little Kansas town. And I got
You almost
involved.
killed them with a wildflower, right?
A cow, or wildflower. Oh, look, I thought it was a flower.
And it was a
She
weed.
said it was a weed or whatever. I love seeing all that stuff. It's been a while. If you can travel the country, go on a road trip, just a little one.
Take a week off, man.
See some of this beautiful country. Nevada's just as gorgeous. Mount Charleston's an hour away.
It's pretty.
And it's gorgeous up there. What do we have? What's that Red Canyon thing that we have? Red Rock? Red Rock Canyon is gorgeous. There are places around Lake Mead that's gorgeous. That's just local.
You got locally beautiful shit too, and don't take your local beauty for granted.
There's
because
this Target down the street from me that's just gorgeous.
I'm gonna take you
Just
camping.
gorgeous.
No. We don't camp.
We
She
glamp.
doesn't camp. We glamp.
I do KOAs. That was my big camping thing.
Yeah,
And then I
love 'em.
got excited when they got microwaves and refrigerators in there.
We
And
went
I
to
pull up and I'm like, I need my Wi-Fi password.
That's right. We went to a
That's my
KOA
camping.
super site.
Yeah.
They had a jump. What's that? Jump pillow.
A jumping pillow.
They had a pool. They had a jump pillow. They had bikes that you could rent.
Did they have a queen size bed? A queen size wooden bed and 2 bunk beds?
We didn't stay in a camping cabin. We
Oh, you
stayed
slept on
in
the
a
ground?
tent. No, we slept in my van because all the
boy.
seats fold flat. The boys slept in a tent.
They had yurt looking like tents ready
I
to go.
I want to do that.
They had camping, like wooden little tiny log cabins ready to go.
They had
But
the super
the
cabins
log
too.
cabins are where I go.
Well, they had the super cabins that have like actual bedrooms too
Yeah,
at that
right,
one.
right.
So
It
But
was
they-
fabulous.
The one in Kingman has, I think they have like one that's kind of like a trailer, so it's not really a cabin, and that has like everything in there. And then the wooden cabins that are there, they're standard KOA cabins.
yeah, it's
So
just a
they-
queen bed and bunk
Yeah,
bed.
the
Showers,
bunk beds, that's where we go.
bathrooms, everything. It was awesome. Awesome. I loved
So
it.
see, I would camp with you guys, but I would totally be the one who's like, I'm over here in this cabin.
Well, the next time we
You
go
can park
camping,
your van.
I will have a tent trailer, a trailer that folds out into like a big lake.
How does that work
bad.
with fat people? I always wondered. I have seen those that pull out. And the sides
You have
of
to
beds.
distribute.
Do you have to get two? Yeah, you have to get
You
two
got to
fat
get one
people
fatty
together.
on one side and an equal number of fatties
Equal
on the
number,
other.
And like there's
You-
a scale in the beginning.
So like she has to sleep on one side and I'll sleep on the other, and you can sleep on the little double bed that folds out in the
Right?
middle.
And I'm like, I'll kind of even it out. In
We'll
the
just throw
middle.
kids randomly in
Yeah.
places.
All the kids have to sleep in one bed to even out the weight. And I mean, I always wondered.
That's
I'm
only
like,
if you get one of the pop-outs that has...
Yeah,
where it comes out.
That's what I
it goes
plan on
in
getting.
and
Oh,
then
okay.
out. But the beds are on this side, and it's literally held up by this little metal
Nah,
piece.
that's just a stabilizing bar. There's other brackets that hold it in place.
I don't give a fuck what brackets are in there. It's something that folds down and goes in. Like, if you look at a cardboard box, what is the least stable part of that box? The 2 flaps that come out.
4 flaps.
Yeah, but I'm just referencing 2. The thing doesn't have these ones.
That's true.
These 2 flaps right here are the least stable part of the box.
I think they're called the lips.
The lips. Let's
Hey, are
We're
we
not
down to
doing
like
lips
4
again.
minutes or something like that?
One
minute?
One
Oh,
minute.
we don't have time for your derp moment.
Oh. So, no, we do have time for it. I'm going to make it real quick. So, I messaged a person on Facebook, and I thought I was being cool and calm and
She
collected.
did.
And like the way I'm reciting the story to my friends is like, oh, and I was totally cool about it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just read it to you. And I read it back to him, and it's like, the flowers of Venus and the effluvian and the blue, blah, blah, blah,
I
blah,
tell
blah.
you,
It's like a
the
fucking
look
raven.
while she's reading, the look that suffused her face of total abject terror was hilarious.
I was mortified. The fact that this person not only responded to me and then subsequently like spent time with me after this message, I'm shocked. They need like congratulations, friend. You truly are a friend, because I was stupid. No.
Now, every single one of us has had one of those moments where we've either sent a message or tried to talk to someone, and it just comes out as total gibberish. And we know.
Describing my life.
This wasn't even gibberish. This was like somebody trying to be Shakespeare who had never read Shakespeare in their life. And I've read everything Shakespeare's ever written. I don't know why I sounded like a super derp during this fucking. It was so stupid.
You look like sands through the hourglass.
As much as I love her to death, it was hilarious, the look that she's reading. She's slowing down as she's reading, and she's thinking to herself, I fucking wrote this. And she keeps reading. Oh my God, it was hilarious.
I was mortified. So, friend, if you're watching and you know who I'm talking about, congratulations to you for continuing to have communication with me, because I'd have been like, fuck that crazy motherfucker right there. Oh.
Oh God. This is Alexia.
Toxie.
And Sierra, the derpiest,
We'll see you all next week.
if you're brave enough.
Later, bitches.